This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Thursday, May 30th, 2024. I'm Alex Brown. Merrillville-based cybersecurity company SimCorp was awarded the President's E Award for remarkable contributions to U.S. exports this month. CEO Robert Johnson says the award is a testament to his team's sometimes literally tireless efforts.
There have been many sleepless nights for many of the folks at SimCorp because we are trying to help our customers globally. And that means it may be 2 a.m. And if there's an issue that's escalated, our folks here in the U.S. are actively involved. There have been many sleepless nights, and there will continue to be many sleepless nights for many of the folks on the SimCorp team. So I think it's validation that there's a benefit to all of that work that they put into it, and I certainly appreciate it. So it's also a testament that our resellers have been incredible partners in multiple markets. As you saw, there are 47 different markets that we have sold into in the last 4 years. That was largely because of the strong partnerships that we've been able to develop with resellers in many of these other countries.
Johnson said the company is looking to continue expansion of its global reach, particularly in the Middle East. Governor Eric Holcomb and a delegation of Indiana economic and government leaders will attempt to strengthen connections with microelectronic, semiconductor, and energy companies on a 10-day trip to France, Belgium, and the Netherlands that began today and continues through June 8th. The group will meet with government leaders, including the U.S. Ambassador to the Kingdom of the Netherlands, the Dutch Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Policy, and the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They will also touch base with IMEC, a Belgium-based research, nanoelectronics, and digital technologies company, which signed a memorandum of understanding with Indiana in December to strengthen cooperation and research on semiconductors, life sciences, and energy. Construction company Meyer Najam, one of the fastest-growing private companies in central Indiana, is transitioning its ownership over to its employees. The Fishers-based company announced this week its shift to an employee stock ownership plan, saying it will further empower its workforce and foster a culture of shared responsibility and success amid its rapidly growing business. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
IBJ Media, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation invite you to the Engage Indiana series, presented by CareSource, Indiana University, and Old National Bank. With an unrelenting focus on growing Indiana's economy, we'll dive into each region's unique challenges and distinct opportunities for growth. 9 regions, 1 goal. Indiana's bold future starts here. Discover more and register at ibj.com/engage.
More than 6 landowners in Tell City have reached a settlement with General Electric, which had been accused of releasing hazardous materials in the area. IIB's Eniola Longe has more.
The Courier and Press in Evansville reports the residents sued the company in October 2020, claiming that the materials found in the soil and groundwater at GE's former manufacturing facility created a negative impact on their properties. The city of Tell City was also a plaintiff in the case, along with 64 individual residents. Terms of the settlement were not disclosed, but the parties noted that the settlement is not an admission of liability from GE. The Indiana Department of Environmental Management says the company operated the plant from the 1940s through 2005, used and stored solvents at the facility as part of its manufacturing operations, in addition to storing hazardous waste on site. The agency said GE found volatile organic compounds in the groundwater and soil at the facility and beyond its property boundary. Remediation work at the site is ongoing, and Tell City Mayor Chris Kale said in a news release that once that effort is completed, the city will have the opportunity to purchase the property with plans for redevelopment. A spokesperson for GE said in a statement that the company continues to work with IDEM to evaluate cleanup alternatives and is committed to preparing the site for future reuse. Eniola Longe, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Party insiders on Wednesday unanimously selected Jeffersonville Economic Development leader Wendy Dant Chesser to fill a vacant House seat, according to the Indiana Democratic Party. She will take over for former Representative Rita Fleming, who abruptly retired 1 week after an unopposed victory in this month's primary election. Dant Chesser also won a concurrent caucus to be the party's candidate for House District 71 in the November general election. The district, which runs along the Ohio River, includes all of Jeffersonville and Clarksville and and part of New Albany. Dan Chesser currently works as the Chief Director of Corporate Strategy and External Affairs at the River Ridge Development Authority and is the former CEO of One Southern Indiana, the Chamber of Commerce and local economic development organization for Clark and Floyd counties. An executive with Columbus-based Toyota Material Handling says the company's nearly $100 million expansion follows an analysis of the company's future over the next decade. Officials from the company joined Governor Eric Holcomb on Thursday to break ground on a new 295,000 square foot manufacturing facility, which is expected to bring 85 new jobs to Columbus. Senior Vice President of Engineering Operations and Strategic Planning, Tony Miller.
A lot of companies are focused on ESG initiatives, environmental initiatives, and then kind of the catalyst of government initiatives starting in the state of California, where in January of 2026, there's going to be certain forklift models that are internal combustion engine will no longer be allowed to be sold in that state. And we expect there's a number of states that are going to follow that, those state initiatives. So long story short, we believe that the market is going to continue to grow and it's going to continue to shift towards electric vehicles. And we recognize that we weren't prepared for that growth or that shift. And that's when we started to consider a longer term, larger investment into a new factory.
The facility, slated for completion in 2026, will focus on the production of electric forklifts. Entropy Economics President Brett Swanson is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.